Picture this. You walk into a room and say nothing. You don't rush to smile. You don't explain who you are. You don't try to prove your worth. And yet, every single head turns. Not because you shouted the loudest, not because you demanded attention, but because your energy, your presence, and your silence spoke louder than any words ever could. Most people think power is loud. Not to be seen, you must constantly be speaking, posting, explaining. But the truth, real power is quiet. It's the woman who moves in silence, focused on her path, immune to distractions, impossible to shake. And here's the twist. When you stop chasing, when you stop explaining, when you stop handing out pieces of yourself to everyone who asks for them, that's when the world starts chasing you. So today, I'm going to talk to you about something that might just change how you move in life from this day forward. The power of focusing on yourself, of mastering the art of silence, and how, without even trying, everything begins to fall exactly where it should. Not because life suddenly gets easier, but because you become unshakable. In a world that never stops talking, silence is the ultimate rebellion. Think about it. Every day we're bombarded with noise. Social media, endless conversations, notifications pinging every few minutes, people eager to share their opinions, their drama, their every thought. The natural reaction might be to join in, to be heard, to fight for space. But the truth is, when you lower your voice, you raise your power. Silence is not about being invisible or weak. It's not about hiding. It's about choosing when to speak and when to hold back with intention. There's a profound strength in restraint, in mastering the art of saying less while being understood more deeply. The women who master this silent strength aren't desperate for approval or desperate to be liked. They are deliberate, controlled, and powerful in the way they show up. Think about the last time you were in a room with someone who said very little but made everyone lean in, who commanded attention just by the way they carried themselves, the calm in their voice, or the steady gaze that didn't waver. Their silence made others fill the space, made others reveal their intentions, their true feelings, even their weaknesses. Silence becomes a mirror. When you say less, people start projecting more. They speculate, they wonder, they underestimate you. And that's exactly when your power grows. Silence is your secret weapon in negotiations, in conversations, and in life. When you stop rushing to respond, you give yourself time to think, to analyze, to understand the real game being played. You're no longer reacting emotionally, but acting strategically. You listen more carefully. You observe the hidden cues. And you speak only when your words will land with maximum impact. There's a reason high-level negotiators, diplomats, and spies often use silence as a tool. It creates discomfort for the other side. It forces them to fill the void with information they didn't mean to share. It keeps your cards close to your chest, and when you finally speak, your words carry weight because they are rare, measured, and intentional. For women, this skill is even more essential. Society has long taught women to fill spaces, to talk more, to explain more, to justify their choices, their feelings, their existence. But the moment you break free from that cycle, the moment you stop giving away pieces of yourself just to be accepted, something shifts. You become a force to be reckoned with. You reclaim your energy. You become unpredictable, not because you're playing games, but because you're grounded in a quiet confidence. Silence also protects your energy. Every time you explain yourself to someone who doesn't value your truth, every time you try to convince others of your worth, you're spending energy that should belong to you alone. By choosing silence, you save that energy for yourself, for your growth, your goals, and your peace. You refuse to be drawn into arguments or distractions that don't serve your mission. And let's not confuse silence with submission. Silence is an act of strength, not surrender. It's the calm before the storm, the poise, stillness that precedes decisive action. When you master silence, you're in control of your narrative. You decide when and how to tell your story, not anyone else. In fact, silence often speaks louder than words ever could. When you don't need to justify your decisions, when you don't respond to every provocation, you create an aura of mystery and respect. People sense your inner power without you having to advertise it. They feel your confidence radiate from within, and that commands a level of respect that loud words rarely achieve. Imagine a woman who faces criticism, rumors, or even blatant disrespect. Instead of reacting impulsively, she remains silent, focused on her work, her vision, her purpose. That silence is deafening. It's a statement that says, I am above this noise. I do not need to defend myself to prove my worth. And over time, people notice. They see the results. They see the calm in the storm. They see a woman who doesn't just survive, but thrives because she knows exactly when to speak and when to remain quiet. Silence also creates space for self-reflection. When you step back from the noise and stop broadcasting your every thought, you open a window into your own soul. You start listening to your inner voice instead of the crowd. You reconnect with your true priorities, your deepest desires, and your most authentic self. This clarity becomes your compass. It guides you through challenges, decisions, and relationships with precision. This is why mastering silence isn't just about shutting your mouth. It's about opening your mind and heart. It's about learning to be comfortable with yourself in the absence of external validation. It's about cultivating the confidence to trust your instincts and your timing. The world will try to make you feel like you have to shout to be heard. But real power, it's quiet. It's steady. It's unshakable. And when you learn to harness that power, when you focus on yourself and stay silent, everything, and I mean everything, begins to fall into place. Because silence isn't emptiness. Silence is space. Space for growth. Space for strategy. Space for destiny. And the woman who claims that space, who owns her silence, becomes unstoppable. There's a reason why they say you can't pour from an empty cup. When you're running on fumes, distracted by everyone else's noise, needs, and chaos, you lose sight of what truly matters: yourself. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It's survival. It's self-defense in a world that constantly demands your energy and attention without asking if you're okay. Too often, women are taught to prioritize others first: family, friends, coworkers, even strangers, while their own needs fall to the bottom of the list. But the truth is, when you don't focus on yourself, you become vulnerable. You open yourself up to being controlled by other people's opinions, expectations, and drama. You lose your center. You lose your power. Self-focus is a shield, a fortress you build to protect your peace and your purpose. When you dedicate time and energy to knowing who you are, what you want, and how you operate, you create boundaries that are unbreakable. You become immune to distractions that would otherwise pull you off course. You no longer give away your energy to things that don't serve your growth. Think about the most successful women you know. The ones who seem unshakable in the face of chaos, criticism, or setbacks. They aren't spinning in every direction, trying to fix everyone and everything around them. They've mastered the art of focusing inward, of strengthening their own foundation before they move forward. Their self-focus is what fuels their resilience and their results. Self-focus means prioritizing your mental and emotional health. It means carving out time to recharge, to reflect, to heal. It means understanding that your well-being is not a luxury, it is a necessity. When you don't take care of yourself, the rest of your world collapses like a house of cards. But when you nurture yourself, you build a foundation so strong that nothing and no one can knock you down easily. This kind of focus requires discipline. It means saying no to distractions, to toxic relationships, to unhealthy habits. Saying no isn't always easy because it can feel like you're disappointing others or missing out. But every no you say to what drains you is a yes to your future self. It's a vote for the life you want to build, the goals you want to reach, and the peace you want to protect. Self-focus is also about sharpening your self-awareness. It means looking honestly at your strengths and weaknesses, your triggers and your blind spots. When you know yourself deeply, you gain clarity about what you want and what you won't tolerate. This clarity becomes your compass in decision-making, guiding you away from situations and people that will drain your energy or derail your progress. One of the most powerful aspects of self-focus is how it changes your relationship with control. When you focus on yourself, you stop trying to control other people's actions, opinions, or reactions. Instead, you invest that energy into controlling what you can, your mindset, your actions, your responses. This shift frees you from the exhausting cycle of trying to please everyone or fix what isn't yours to fix. Focusing on yourself also means investing in your growth. Intellectual, emotional, physical, and spiritual. It means setting goals that align with your values and working relentlessly toward them. It means surrounding yourself with resources and people who elevate you, challenge you, and inspire you to be better. When you invest in yourself, you multiply your worth exponentially. This journey isn't about becoming selfish or detached from others. It's about becoming whole and strong enough to show up fully for yourself and for those who truly matter. When you are centered, when you have cultivated your inner fortress, you can give from a place of abundance rather than depletion. You give because you want to, not because you feel forced or obligated. There will always be noise, people who doubt you, situations that test you, and circumstances that threaten to pull you off your path. But when your focus is on yourself, you become like a lighthouse in the storm, steady, unwavering, and bright. You're not easily swayed by waves of doubt or distraction because your foundation is solid. Self-focus is also about trusting your instincts. When you're deeply connected to yourself, you develop an internal radar that guides you away from danger and toward opportunity. This intuition is priceless in a world that's full of misleading advice, toxic relationships, and false promises. The more you listen to yourself, the less you need outside validation. And here's the beautiful truth. When you focus on yourself, the world starts to notice. Not because you're shouting from the rooftops, but because your energy shifts. You carry yourself differently, with confidence, calm, and purpose. Opportunities that once seemed out of reach begin to appear. The right people enter your life. Doors open without you having to beg or chase. It's not magic. It's the result of one simple but powerful principle. When you are your own priority, you create a life that reflects that priority. Everything around you adjusts to the new energy you emit. People sense it. The universe responds to it. So focus on yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. Guard your time, protect your energy, nurture your growth, and trust your journey. The world will keep spinning, and the noise will keep coming. But you will stand tall, unshaken, unstoppable, because you learn that the greatest act of self-defense is the relentless focus on yourself. And when you do that, everything, absolutely everything, falls into place. Energy is everything. It's the invisible currency that drives your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, and ultimately your results. But here's the thing. Most people spend their energy recklessly, scattering it to anyone and anything that demands attention. They give away pieces of themselves trying to fix others, prove their worth, or explain their choices. They exhaust themselves running after validation, approval, and acceptance. And when they're drained, they wonder why nothing seems to work. The art of withholding energy is the master key to changing that pattern. It's about recognizing that your energy is finite, precious, and powerful, and learning to protect it like the treasure it is. This art is not about being cold or indifferent. It's about being intentional, strategic, and fiercely protective of where and to whom you give your energy. When you withhold your energy wisely, you reclaim control over your life. Instead of being pulled in 1,000 directions, you channel your focus into what truly matters, your goals, your growth, and your peace. You stop feeding distractions, drama, and negativity. You create boundaries that protect your emotional and mental space. Think about how much energy you spend every day responding to unnecessary conflicts, trying to convince someone who doesn't want to listen, or explaining your decisions to people who will never understand. That's energy wasted. When you withhold that energy, when you choose silence over argument, calm over reaction, and patience over haste, you save yourself from burnout and frustration. Withholding energy also means choosing where to invest your attention. Attention is energy. Who you listen to, what you read, where you scroll, All of it affects your mental and emotional bank account. If you fill your mind with negativity, gossip, or constant comparison, you deplete your energy reserves. But if you choose to focus on positive, empowering, and constructive influences, your energy grows. This discipline extends to your relationships. Not everyone deserves your time or emotional investment. Some people drain you without giving anything in return. Learning to withhold your energy from toxic or unproductive relationships is a radical act of self-care. It's saying no to emotional vampires and yes to connections that uplift and inspire you. There's a misconception that withholding energy means shutting people out or being emotionally unavailable. But that's not the case. It means being selective, choosing when to engage and when to protect your space. It means understanding that your energy is your responsibility and you have the power to decide how it's spent. One of the hardest but most empowering parts of this art is learning when to stop explaining yourself. You don't owe anyone a reason for your choices, your boundaries, or your silence. Every time you feel the urge to justify yourself, ask, is this worth my energy? More often than not, the answer is no. When you stop over-explaining, you not only protect your energy, but also create an aura of confidence and self-respect. Withholding energy isn't about withdrawing from life or avoiding challenges. It's about focusing your strength where it counts. It's about conserving your emotional power to face the battles that truly matter, the ones that move you closer to your dreams and values. This practice also teaches patience. When you withhold your energy from trying to force things to happen or from reacting impulsively, you allow the natural course of events to unfold. You trust the timing of your life instead of trying to control every detail. This patience creates space for clarity and better decisions.